Alrighty. What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Side 11, aka Signmatics, and today I'm bringing to you the true biblical understanding of the corruption of humanity, which is the chapter that speaks about how God elected Noah as the chosen survivor of the deluge, aka the flood that he created. And when you come to understand the true context of the Bible, you start to understand that this book is not just talking about something that's happening externally. Most importantly, it is referring to something that's happening internally inside of the body. So when we talk about the corruption of humanity, we're talking about the corruption of your thoughts and feelings, the corruption of your left brain and right brain, the corruption of your masculine principle, your alpha, your fire, how you push out energy into the world and how you want to be seen, and your feminine aspect, your right brain, how you receive from the world, how you feel from the world, how you feel about the things around you. So when we go over this story, we're going to see how God is nothing but the observer, observing the thoughts and feelings inside of itself, and how these thoughts and feelings are creating a reality inside of it, and whether it's harmonious or non-harmonious, whether it's beneficial or non-beneficial, because we do these things inside of us as well. We create thoughts, which is men, masculine, alphas that are helpful for us, that help us make sense of our feelings, our eves, our right brain, so we don't get lost in those feelings and then take us through some chaos and be lost, and our ship just falls under the sea. So now we're drowning in the world and we don't know what's going on and why this is going on to us. So as I read this book, you're gonna come to the understanding, or this chapter, you're gonna come to the understanding that is describing an external situation that happens after 2,000 years, after 3,000 years, because this situation, this scenario, does get created physically, but most importantly, it happens every year internally, or I should say, it happens all the time internally, based on how you direct your internal forces and how you use those things, or do you get used by your internal natures and you get lost in those things, and those things hijack you, aka those spirits hijack you and give life to those dark, negative things inside of you, and then you keep experiencing that, and then you don't know why this is happening. Okay, so first we have to understand that spirits, also life, exist on many different spectrums and many different densities. We, as a group of spirits, created realities to experience ourselves in different forms, and we phase and transition into new spaces, unknowns, dark spaces, to create newness. So spirits always want to go into a different shape and form and experience something new. But sometimes we get stuck in a logic, in a denomination, and our spirit try to get us outside of that. But sometimes we just get lost in things and we start to corrupt ourselves based on the thought and the feeling that we get lost in, and things like that. So without further ado, let's get started in this presentation. And Noah lived for 500 years. A masculine thought, a cosmic force, lived for 500 years because it made sense out of its beastly natures around it. So we're talking about a masculine force, and a masculine force can represent many different things. It represents the sun, which is the closest body that's close to us. It giving life to things. It giving things growth. It giving out energy. It giving out consciousness. It giving out its light and things like that. So Noah is nothing but an example and it's an energy signature. Noah is an energy signature that all things in life experience and all things go through. You know what I mean? So we're not talking about a person, place, or things. No, we're talking about an energy that travels through all things. This is why they call God the Pneuma, the Prana of the life force, the spirit, because the spirit travels through all things. And spirits like to travel through many different forms, and throughout many different existences, and throughout many different travels and things like that. And Noah fathered three sons: Shem, Asia, Ham, Africa, and Japheth, Europe. And you gotta understand that these were not no actual physical locations. I mean, they are physical locations as well, but most importantly, they are also spiritual locations. So inside of you, you have a continent like with the energy of Africa. Inside of you, you have a continent like the energy of Asia. Inside of you, you have a continent with the energy of Europe. And what I mean by that is, if you just simply observe the northern part of Africa and Saudi Arabia, which in the previous past was actually joined together, that represents dryness, harshness, you not being able to you not having like water. So that's why a person from the desert will develop thoughts and feelings that are different from other people based on the conditions that they was in. Because for them to sustain themselves in their geographical locations, they have to think and feel differently. Sometimes people have to fight for resources. People have to fight for these things, and these things exist inside of you. Some people are extremely dry with how they go about life, and they're extremely practical. Some people are extremely emotional. Some people are extremely logical. Some people are extremely air-like. So when we look at the a lot of the energies that was going on in Africa, a lot of those energies were representing the Martian energies, the Aries energy. A lot of these people didn't really necessarily have agreeable thoughts. Everybody had their own idea about the world and the environment. This is why a lot of people in Africa didn't really link up necessarily, make a civilization necessarily. Now they had civilizations. There was Nubia, there was Egypt, and things like that, but these people had their own thought, their own feeling about the world based on their geographical location, which also develops their thought and feeling. Now, not everybody thought like that in that geographical location and things like that, but based on the geographical location, you can see how someone's lifestyle would develop, how their needs would develop, how their wants would develop, unless they would travel to a different area. This is why also a lot of people from Europe wanted to come to Mount Sinai, and they wanted to come and experience life in Sinai, because in their view the Bible is a historical book. But no, the Bible was not a historical book that was lost back then. It's a spiritual book about energies. That's what I'm explaining to you in this presentation today. That's why they would come to Sinai, and they wanted to experience malnourishment, you being under extreme conditions, because when you're under extreme conditions, when the body's severely malnourished, when you're not eating, when your body, when your gut is not busy digesting, your body is free to experience a new experience. Your body has to find a new way to rejuvenate, a new way to create life, a new way to sustain itself. And this is why a lot of them would travel to that location to experience this dryness, to experience this harshness, because to them the desert is like an allegory about the harshness of God, the harshness of reality, and things like that. This is why you gotta understand each of these geographical locations represent an energy signature, and those energy signatures will take your mind on certain travels, will create certain mentalities, certain realities. This is why when you travel the world and you see how people, how the different ways of living, the different ways of thoughts and feelings, the different ways people bring their left brain and their right brain together, different ways of bringing this temple of God, this body of God together. Because your gut is also a brain, your gut is also a mind. This is why science tells us that the gut is the second or the third brain, because you actually think and feel with your gut. You may not make sense of it, but your gut is always communicating to you. So this whole body, this is the temple of God. This is the ideals of God. This is the attributes and characteristics of God's in a human body, in a human vessel. And when the better you learn yourself, the better you learn God. This is why the Bible tells you to go within. That's why they tell you that the kingdom of heaven is within. Because when you understand what's within, you understand what's without. You understand all the natures outside of you. You start to understand why people think and feel that way. You start to understand certain things that a normal person wouldn't have access to, because now you've activated the temple of God. You've activated the God body and things like that. And things like that. This is why it's important, because you're not looking at geographical locations. You're looking at a group of spirits who agreed on those conditions to create that geographical location. And based on time zones and based on seasons and things like that, certain spirits, certain groups of spirits become more animate, become more alive during those times. And that create things like the flood of the Nile and things like that. That's why Egyptians had to understand astrology, and they had to understand astronomy for them to understand when to harvest from the Nile, when to plant, when to do those things. Because when you understand the time of things, you start to understand how to harvest, you start to understand how to plan, you start to understand those things from a different perspective. That's why those geographical locations are nothing but a group of spirits who came together and agreed on those conditions. So Europe is just a group of spirits that came together and agreed on that condition to create that land mass, to create that sustainability of the wetlands and things like that. In the desert, those are spirits that came together and agreed together on those conditions and things like that. And those spirits that came in a human body to live out in those locations physically as well was spirits who like that condition, who like that idea and things, and they like that circumstance and situation. This is why your birth is not a coincidence as well. You went and you animated as a cell in your parents based on your desire, based on your passion, based on what you agree and you disagree with. This is why this is a reflection of the earth that you travel into. This is why your child has similar characteristics, or this is why some children can grow and be rebellious against you and things like that because you are against yourself. So the child you're going to give birth to is going to be against himself, and then they're not going to know why, and they're going to be under that denomination and religion that you was under, and they're going to be like, this doesn't make any sense. Let me rebel against this family, this person, so I can go find a new form to go into. So Africa is inside of you. Europe is inside of you. America is inside of you. America represents the heart chakra, the heart. So the heart is inside of you, and you have feelings that walk in your heart. You have thoughts that walk in your mind, and they create circumstances and situations. These are nothing but reflections of your internal reality that you experience on a daily basis, but you are a mini form inside of this reality observing what's going on because you have not came into full matureness yet to leave this firmament, to leave this reality, to leave this realm of duality, of light and darkness, of feminine and masculine, and things like that. And I have to explain it because otherwise people would get lost in me saying Asia, Africa, and Europe because you're looking at yourself really. You're looking at parts of yourself, and some people may have these parts of themselves more than others. Some people might be more dry. Some people might be more wet, more emotional. Some people might be more air-like, like in Asia, like more logical, more communicative, like the Chinese. They link up on some shit. Their language is like makes them link up, agree on communication and things like that. So we're playing out these natures and even the language of Arabic. That's why they call Arabic the language of the rebel. It's really the language of the fire. That's why the Assyrians, if you see the language and you hear the way they speak like a fire nature because we're reflecting these things in what we create as well and things like that. And it happened when humans, so humans, which means colored beings, which means spirits that travel in membranes, that travel in soul chambers based on their agreed condition, terms and conditions, based on the chakra that you agree with, whether it's dry, whether it's hot, whether it's wet, whether you like the heart chakra, whether you like the mind, you like to be more logical, whether you like your desires, your root chakra, and things like that. Hue color man's beings who came from light into density, who came from a lighter existence, because you wanted to experience this body that took time to expire, so you could do whatever you want. Like, because in a different form, that body would expire faster. This is why the first nature was fire, then water, then air, then earth. So air helps create the atmosphere. Earth helps create the geographical locations. Fire helps us create the vision of how we wanted that thing to be and things like that. And this is a ritual that you already do with your mind in a mini way. This is why you see a vision of yourself that you want to go into. This is why you want to hold on certain visions and make them into an emotion and then make sense out of that emotion, create a logic around that emotion and things so you can talk about it to the world. This is how I feel. And you can make a song about it and a prayer and all types of things. Okay. So, hue color men who came from light into density began to become numerous upon the earth. Thoughts and feelings descended to have a practical existence into an earthly realm, fourth planet, which is the earth, and they had daughters. So wombs to be housed in until birth, a cell, a womb, a container to experience. So a daughter of God is nothing but a feminine, is nothing but a Beth, is nothing but a house and a spirit to go into, to wait for, to give birth until. That's why your body is 70% water, because now spirits can create a vision based on your vision. If you agree on a particular idea, a thought or a feeling, then a similar spirit that vibrates on the same frequency as you based on resonance can come and animate inside of your body and come and give that thought and feeling form and power and ideas. So if you like to hurt yourself, you're going to attract other spirits that like to hurt themselves, and they will begin to animate inside of you and give you more ideas about how you should hurt yourself, why you should hurt yourself. If you tell yourself you want to be a rich man, you will animate spirits to agree with that. Because spirits are just dreaming. They don't really know what's happening. But they follow the light that they see, and the light is like this is the vision you create, and they go into that and give that more life. So whatever you envision, you will give that life to. So if you want cancer, you can have cancer. You can have disease. You can have wealth. You can have fitness and all those things. You can have whatever you want. Okay, fourth planet. So the fourth element is like this body as well, this physical density, this physical earth, this density, density that we created, and it became a hell later as well, because we can't really escape from it. After a while, we get too lost, we get too dense in our thoughts and feelings, and we think we have to do those things and things like that. And they had daughters, wombs to be housed in until birth, so a cell, when the container cell. So then the angels, which is intelligent beings who fell into their desires. So we was all some kind of a higher form, not necessarily a higher form, because the spirit just likes to travel and likes to experience and likes to create shapes and forms to go into to gather information and things like that. So us being beings who were intelligent but saw the daughters of men, and we fell into our desires, and we're like, okay, we're going to go in and experience that desire. So we started to give that life, we started to give that form, animation, and things like that. Who fell into the desires, the angels of God, and the angels of God was the spirits who understood the 360 parameter of all possibilities, because you are all possibilities. But now that we came to this density, we have limited our possibilities and things like that. So having seen the daughters of humans resonated with vibrationally to come to density, because your birth is not a coincidence. The parents you got birthed through is not a coincidence. You agreed on that term and condition. You agreed on that desire. You agreed on that thought. You agreed on that feeling. That's why you were given. So your spirit was circulating and animating as a cell in a membrane, in a soul inside of that person. So you can be given birth to when the time comes and things like that. Because, and if you look at your body, as I said, the body is nothing but a reflection of the temple of God outside of you, the constellations of life and the geographical locations and things like that. That's why when you see other people having those natures on a larger percentage level, and you see people having those natures less on a percentage level, based on what energies were you born under, what did you agree to partake in, and you could learn those energies from other people around. You can learn, okay, I do have to be more dry here in this area of life. I do have to be a little bit more practical at work rather than emotional at work. And you can see, and a spirit in a body can teach you that, because that's their nature. That's what they agree with. They can teach you that and help you out of that, based on if you understand that we're all creating energies and we're experiencing those energies, and sometimes those energies can create a hell, or sometimes those energies can create a heaven. A hell being something that's hellistic towards you, something that makes you stress and things like that, and the heaven is something that's benevolent for you, makes you feel lighter, makes you feel happy, makes you feel up and things like that. Okay, and that they were beautiful. So spirit, no thing, relating to density, took for themselves women, a feeling to resonate with, from all whom they picked out. So a lot of people like to hold on to their feelings and things like that. That's why when you die, you will experience the feelings that you created. If you hated people, you're gonna experience a hateful dream where you go hate people. Then you're gonna go to your geographical locations and a mom and dad that agree with those thoughts and feelings. Hey, yeah, let's go hate people. But it's not gonna play out like that. It's gonna play out in a different way, because it's always remix and things like that. But since you agreed on that contract, you're gonna go experience that contract for yourself. And since your spirit didn't know no better, your spirit is still gathering experiences, gathering data to create its next matter. Based on those experiences, you gotta decide for yourself, where do you want to go? Is you gonna follow a spirit, a denomination, a legion that is gonna lead you to hell, or are you gonna follow a group of spirits, or are you gonna follow yourselves into a heaven and show other spirits how to get out of the hell that they've created for themselves? Because a lot of spirits right now is in hell. They're in hell, and it's a crazy thing to observe. But it's a crazy thing to observe. But it's a crazy thing to observe, to learn from, not to get lost in and be like, "Oh God, why are you doing this to the world? God save everybody." No, God You as a God, you as an observer need to come and save yourself. You need to save your thoughts and feelings and get outside of the hell that you're in and things like that. Because you cannot pray for the good of the world because everybody experiences good from their perspective. Everybody experiences evil from their perspective. So therefore, good and evil are nothing but a point of view based on your relative position in space and time. Because what's good for you is not good for everybody. What's good for me is not good for everybody. What's evil for me is not evil for everybody. That banana might give you stomach pain, but that banana might make me animated like a poo, like I drank some coffee. So what's good for me is not necessarily good for you. What's evil for me is not necessarily evil for you. This is why you have to learn you. You have to learn your space. You have to learn your awareness. You have to learn your spirit. Not for you to go get lost in a religion, a denomination, in the science, in the mathematics. You're already doing science. You're already doing math. But you have to learn it from your perspective. Because everything is going through phases and transitions. And when you understand what your spirit is phasing and transiting through, during the year, during your life cycle, then you can understand how to get outside of those things and how to get into better things for yourself and things like that. So, to resonate with, so the Lord God said, my breath will certainly not reside in these humans. Breath meaning life force of a being, a star, because you're a star. Since everybody since everybody micro or macro will experience a death and a life, a cycle. So God's trying to tell you, look, my breath is not going to last for you forever. The meaning the breath that you have created for you, the form you have created to go into this density is not going to last forever. So you will go through a life and a death. Your form will expire and you will not last very long because you're a flesh, because you're flesh and blood. So your flesh, this is meant to expire. But what are you going to learn in this flesh? Is you going to build and toil and build someone else's Babylon, or are you going to learn yourself and build your heaven internally and then externally with your chosen tribe of people, not the legions of demons that are lost on earth? No, with your tribe of people, with your tribe of people and things like that. So flesh or blood will expire, including mental bodies, because your mental forms that you've created will also expire. So your feelings will die. Your thoughts will die eventually. But are those thoughts and feelings that you want to be in as a spirit? Is that a heaven for you? Is that an imagination that when your spirit goes into it, experiences a heaven? You're like, wow, this is such a beautiful heaven. I'm having such a good day. I'm having such a sunny day. Or are you going to be in darkness? You're not going to be able to see what's happening to you and why it's going on with you. And then you're going to go to the golem they created for you, which is called Jesus. And Jesus is nothing but an allegory for your solar plexus and your identity of yourself. This is why they hang Jesus on the cross. This is them subconsciously telling you, we killed your identity of you, so you better not have any other ideas of yourself other than what we tell you to have for yourself. This is what the Vatican and them is trying to tell you. So thoughts and feelings will die, regardless. Because plants, you can see, look, plants die throughout the year. Plants give life throughout the year. But is you're going to take your plants and plant your seeds in geographical locations or in areas of the map that don't grow, that don't work, that give more death? Or is he going to be smarter next time and be like, okay, I got to move from here to there and create thoughts that are helpful for me and create feelings that are helpful for me, so that even though those thoughts and feelings die, I know what I like as a spirit. So now I can continue down that path and create a bigger experience of that and things like that. Not for you to join someone else's experience and someone else's timeline. You gotta get your own timeline so you can have your own lifespan. Because you can live longer as a spirit if you just do what you enjoy. If you're just a happy spirit, if you're gonna toil away and labor away with your flesh and blood and think this is what reality is, then you are going to go to hell because you voluntarily chose that. But I understand how the shadow government, can direct you guys, can direct your mind into experiencing certain things that you don't really gotta be a part of, but you gotta be wise enough as a spirit to get out of that experience. So thoughts and feelings will die. But what thoughts and feelings do you like? Where are you going with your thoughts and feelings? Is you gonna join in with someone else's thought and feeling? Or is you gonna create your own thought and feeling that's gonna be a heaven for you? Or is you gonna let someone else's thoughts and feelings take you to hell? Oh, you're ugly. Oh, you're this. Oh no, you gotta do this before you get this. Oh no, you gotta wait till you die before you go to a heaven. You can have a heaven now, but a heaven is something that you create. It's not something that you receive from anybody. You're a spirit creating your own experience that's unique to you. And you agree with other spirits based on what's unique to them. And you guys can come together and build your own kingdom of heaven and experience each other's heavens and be rejuvenated by each other's consciousness and things like that. And their days will be 120 years. So this is not just talking about your physical body, since your firmaments, your chakras, your heart chakra, your first eye chakra, your throat chakra is an organ and a firmament inside of you. It's like an allegory saying, okay, yeah, you might live for 120 years, but what mentalities are you gonna put in there? So in your throat, is you gonna create thoughts and feelings that let you speak out clearly about how you think and feel? And voice out your opinion, is you're going to create a mentality in your throat organ that tells you to shut up. This is why a lot of people feel the throat gets dampened, like they can't speak for themselves, like they're not supposed to say something. So you got to program these organs accordingly. You got to create the experience in those organs accordingly. Because some people create feelings in their heart that bring them down, that make them feel bad, that hurt them. So the immune system becomes weaker in life, and they start experiencing more sickness because that's what they created for themselves. So all these are just mental bodies that our spirit goes into and animates in and gives more energy to. And when you create a mental body that you love as a heaven, then spirits see that and they go in and experience that and they give that more energy. So they're like, yeah, we want to keep experiencing this heaven. We want to keep experiencing this thought and feeling. Let's help this observer create a bigger version of that. And then you create a heaven for yourself and for other spirits to enjoy too. And then they can see you as an example of something to create and something not to create, and it play out externally as well. Wow, this person has this business, this person has this family, this person has this and that. Wow, this person must have created some bad thoughts and feelings. This person must have calculated something really good. Real shit. So now giants, which is spirits who are more aware of the nature of reality, aka the rulers of old, were upon the earth in those days. And upon that, whenever the sons of God entered into the daughters of humans, they fathered children for themselves. And they were giants who were from long ago the people of renown. So now the people of renown is nothing but spirits that are larger than you in size mentally, meaning these spirits have become titans, they become giants, they become mature, they become true and wise in understanding. They have understood the natures of the world. They've went through so much light, through so much creation. They've created so many things, but they've also went through darkness. They've also killed many of those things that they have went through, and they've also experienced the darkness that the light they've created uh came into. Sometimes when you create a vision, you go into that vision and then you start to experience, oh no, that's not the right vision. And then you're like in darkness for a while, like, oh no, I should have not went for that idea, I should have not went for that feeling. And then you start to haunt yourself. You're a bad person. Oh no, you're an ugly person. Oh you're no, this and that. So the spirits of renown, the people of renown, is nothing but the mature spirits, and these are actually the people that rule the earth today. This is like the people in the Vatican that run the world. These are spirits that are larger than you in size mentally. And since they're wise enough, they understand that the body expires, but since our spirit is a subconscious program that you can program and it's malleable, it is morphable according to your thoughts and feelings. They understand how to come back in different bodies. They understand how to create rulerships and denominations to withhold that thought and feeling called Christianity or the Catholic Church, so they can keep ruling over your thought and feeling, and so that you guys can give them your attention externally, your thoughts and feelings. And then when you pay attention to someone else's creation, you give that more life. You give that more feelings because they're just like you at the end of the day. If you was at a play and you was sitting and there was no one at that play, there's no point because it's like there's no one there to pay attention to that play called Jesus. There's no one to pay attention to the idea called crucifixion. So the idea will not be giving life to. When you pay attention to the crucifixion, you're giving birth to their energy that they want you to give birth to inside of you. So when they kill Jesus, they kill your idea of yourself. Now you're paying attention to that outside of you. Boom. You practice that ritual and spell inside of you. So the people of renown are nothing but spirits that went through more death, more trials and tribulations, more life. They've experienced so much that they've developed this titan-like body. Mentally, though, they've become strong. They understand the nature of things. They understand why things happen. They understand that, as the sun goes up, we experience happiness and positivity. They understand that when the sun disappears, and goes below the horizon into the darkness. There's now we experience the yin realm aspect of ourselves, the subjective things that we see about ourselves into the world. This is why they're mature. They're just people that went through more trials and tribulations to find themselves, to find their power, to find their abilities, to find their godlike attributes and characteristics, and they exercise it on you. And since you're less mature as a spirit, you're gonna fall to those things because these spirits are strong. But yeah, it plays out as a lot of different things. But it's just the spirits that are more mature, the spirits that are more wise, and you can see that by how a spirit, how a person acts and behaves in this lifetime and things like that. Whether a spirit creates you know, positive, nurturing, wise, like high level of thoughts and feelings. That lets you know how much that spirit traveled mentally, speculatively. Now they can create that operatively version. So they've reflected, they meditated, they've done all that to understand their subjective realm. Now their operative realm is some shit. Now you can't hurt them. Now you can't beat them. Now you can throw a sword at them. That will do nothing because they understand themselves and they know they can catch that sword and fling into a different direction, or they can use that same sword that you used against you. So this is you being as smart as a spirit. This is you seeing all possibilities. This is you reaching maturity. This is you reaching a new level of perfection. And since your spirit went through so many different forms of travel, so many different mental bodies, which are thoughts and feelings, now you know, now you created a bigger thought and feeling to go into. So now this is you being strong. This is you being powerful as a spirit because you went through all those thoughts. You went through the failures. You went through the pain. You went through the hurt. Those are all mental forms that you travel to. So your spirit is like, I failed. It travels through that form. How long are you going to think you failed? Okay, I failed, but let me create something new. So when you fail, you create a new form. Oh, no, I succeeded this time. So this is you traveling mentally as a spirit, speculative inside of yourself, then for you to create an operative expression so that you can, do something that's good for you. So now the Lord God saw that the wicked action of humans multiplied upon the earth, demonic meaning, to separate and not to consider other people's thoughts and feelings, selfish gain and aim. So a lot of the times, sometimes we can create thoughts and feelings that are demonic, that are against us. Because sometimes you need to work out. Sometimes you know that you need to go do that thing that you need to do for yourself, whether it's to eat better, whether it's to work out, whether it's to go pay a bill. And those things are not important, but for us to even reach those things because the shadow government, they already control safety, material, and security, which is the third, first, second dimension, and things like that. So things like that, when you are against yourself, you create a demonic form inside of yourself. This is why a lot of us don't become a person of renown, a person of great worth, a person who's powerful, and things like that, because you are already against yourself. You are already a demon to yourself, and then you're a demon to other people as well. So when God talks about the wicked actions of humans multiplied upon the earth, this is the observer upon the firmament that we are in, seeing us as humans beings, being wicked, being demonic, being conniving, being thief-like, being demons and hurting ourselves. But it also play out externally when you create thoughts and feelings that hurt you, that are against you, thoughts and feelings that cause you to separate from those things that are good for you, cause you to separate from the people, places, and things that are good for you because you see yourself as less. Because you see yourself into the world. And if you see yourself through the lens of the demonic forms that you created yourself, then you will fall short. You will not understand what's going on. You will just do things for the sake of short-term pleasure, not long-term pleasure. Not understanding that the body that you're traveling in sustains itself and travels through many different forms. You will only care about that one form and want to stay in that one form, in that one idea, in that one feeling. And that's what makes you a demon. Because energy phases and transitions through things. So you're supposed to phase and transition to things. But instead now you're stuck into that. Demonic meaning to separate and not consider others' thoughts and feelings. So selfish, gain or aim. So you create thoughts and feelings that have selfish gains and aims that do not include your best interests. So they're not being considered to the other thoughts and feelings around them. This plays out externally as well when you see demons. They don't worry or care about the other thoughts and feelings around them, the people around them. They just want to get what they desire, what they want, because they're stuck in that one form, that one idea. They haven't learned to die and go into a new form yet. And this plays out internally as well when you follow that demonic thought. that doesn't care about your other thoughts and feelings. One thought might tell you, hey man, let's not be in that desire too much because you know that's been hurting us. But a demon thought that you give so much life to will come and kill that logical thought and be like, no, we need to do this desire. We need to do this form because this is the only thing I care about. This is you being a demon internally, and then you play that energy out externally as well. And everyone was focused on his heart, on evil things in all their days, consuming the fruit of desire, basically like Eve. So this you only knowing that one form, and that's it. You're not having many different forms to go into throughout the year. You're just knowing how to do one thing, how to be lying, how to be conniving, things like that. And God, observer of realm, membrane, reflected that he made humankind generations of thoughts and feelings internally and externally upon the earth, and considered, and God's aid, I will discard of humanity whom I made from the face of the earth, from human to animal, and from creeping things to winged birds of the heavens, because I am angry that I made them, creating thoughts and feelings that are wicked from your perspective, that stop you from correlating and dividing rightly. So remember, this is God observing itself. Okay, this is God observing itself. The membrane that we're in is also observing itself, not directly but indirectly, because we play out as it's subconscious, as it's speculative, and things like that. And we also view the thoughts and feelings inside of us. You might look at your thoughts and feelings and be like, damn, man, I need to get rid of that feeling. I don't want to feel that way anymore. I don't want to hate myself. But hating yourself, that's a mental form you created inside of yourself that you've been sustaining for so long that it became like a spirit of renown. Now it's hard to now it's a titan, it's strong. And now you gotta create another thought to go and destroy that thought. And it might take time. But that's why you have to put in the energy work and things like that. So this is why God is saying, I gotta discard all humanity whom I made. I am angry that I made them. Because it's talking about you as well. It's angry that it made these shapes and forms. It's angry that it agreed with these thoughts and feelings. Because if it didn't agree with these thoughts and feelings, we as spirits wouldn't be able to go into that and create a reality based on that and give it more life. So the hell that this spirit, that this firmament, that this membrane we're in, we gave that more life. We animated that first. Now the spirit is angry. So just like how you hate certain thoughts and feelings about yourself, but the more life you give that, other spirits will see that, give that more life, and then you're gonna be like, oh, why did I do that habit? Why did I do that desire? I know I didn't want to eat that McDonald's sandwich, but damn, I had a thought and a feeling that told me to do that. Because yeah, your thoughts and feelings don't know no better. You're supposed to know better than them, and you're supposed to divide them and tell them, okay, thoughts, okay, left brain, okay, right brain. Let's not right brain. Let's not feel about those things. Let's talk to our logic and be more mathematical with our precision about where we gotta go. Things like that. Okay. From the face of the earth, from human to animal, from creeping things to winged birds of the heavens, because I am angry that I made them. So, like I said, this is you creating constant feelings. But Noah found grace before the Lord God. Noah was a thought form whom the observer God was pleased with, meaning it was a thought and a feeling that this observer observed as righteous. This is a thought and feeling that this observer said, okay, I want this thought to survive the destruction I'm getting ready to create because this generations of this thought actually produced good outcomes, good energies that were benevolent, that helped me sustain my travel and in my physical shape and form externally, right? Because the energies you create also affect this membrane, this realm, this reality that we're in. There's something experiencing your creation since you agree with that creation as well. So no, it's just like you. So when you have a positive thought, you're like, yeah, man, I like that thought, but let me destroy all the other thoughts and feelings that are not serving you. So this is you now going through the winter season. This is now you going through death. This is you destroying those things that do not serve you in that season and in that time based on your relative position in space and time when you was born. This is why you got to learn your astrology chart. You got to learn your timing of the day. This is why you got to know yourself. The judgment of humanity, which is nothing but the judgment of the internal mentalities that you've created. Now, these are the generations of Noah, thoughts and feelings that descended from that line of thinking and feeling. Noah, a righteous person who was perfect among his generation, perfect from the perspective of the observer. Noah was pleasing to God. The thought named Noah was creating healthy forms that the observer saw as pleasing, fulfilling, having purpose. This is why this observer said, yeah, you know what? I do want this thought and feeling to survive. And this thought and feeling is wise. So when I communicate to it intuitively, it's going to know what to do and things like that. Now, externally, from this firmament to you, it looks different. It looks like a person who is wise. Let's say a king was righteous. And righteous doesn't mean right or wrong, it just means a titan. It means someone who understands what's going on and is wise, and they have developed their spirit into a bigger form, to a bigger level. Now, if there's an assassin coming to kill this king will be able to see the signs before that. So this is why this king will be righteous amongst his generation, and it will see what it has to do to survive. So you will naturally have the ability to defeat all enemies, to overpower all things, because you are with the cycles. You are not a demon. You have not fallen short. You have not missed the point about this being and about this experience we're in, because you are not being ruled under by someone else's denomination, someone else's religion, and someone else's ways of thinking and feeling, aka someone else's generations. You having your own Noah. So the thought and feeling of Noah was pleasing from the perspective from the observer's perspective. Noah fathered three sons: Shem, Asia; Ham, Africa; and Japheth, Europe. Those are names the author created to describe the ruling mentality in a continent and geographical locations, regardless of the descendant of thoughts and feelings. So what I mean by this is that, like I said earlier, places like let's say America, for example, because actually no, I don't really have America here, but let's say places like Africa, for example. The first person to create a thought and a feeling, let's say that the first thought that the people in Africa created was Ham, and they agreed on that thought. But as people spread it around Africa, people created descendant thoughts of that original Ham. So now people started to create denominations, subcultures from that original religion, from that original point of view, and that became Ham. It also means the geographical locations, because the geographical locations have a spiritual significance. Because I told you, when you look at a geographical locations, you're looking at an energy. An energy exists in many forms and in many spectrums and many densities inside of your body as well. So when you're in Africa, you experience a different type of atmosphere. And based on your body, that atmosphere might make you sick. But as you gain and adapt, aka when you travel through that when you travel through that continent, when you travel through that physical form, you gain that, your body develops that resistance. Your body develops those thoughts and feelings, that masculine and feminine, that positive and negative force, for it to sustain its travel through that. So now your body learns a new alchemy, how to create a new form to sustain itself in that travel. Same thing with Europe, same thing with Asia, and things like that. If you observe just simply the religions that exist in Asia, you start to understand those things that, those things came from a mentality, a particular way of thinking. This is why in in the Arab place, it's not really an Arab continent, because Arabia and Africa was really the same thing. It was called Al-Qibla back in the day. And when you understand that Arabic is the language of the rebel, and it's actually the language of the fire and things like that. That's why people will call Arabs jinns and demons and devils, because they're mimicking that element of fire when they speak, when they use their speech. Same thing with the people who come from Asia, the Asian continent. These people are replicating the element of the air, communicating logic. This is why Asia and China had a very successful economy, because it was just based on communication, based on logic, based on reasoning. Okay, you're gonna give me this. Okay, I'm gonna give you that. But at a different location on Africa, it might be like, no, you agree with this idea or you don't. I might have to destroy you. This is why tribes were fighting, killing each other, because they had their own vision, they had their own idea of what something is. And when someone doesn't agree with your idea and you're feeling about something, you might play out in the third dimension as you slaughtering that person, you destroying their physical form and things like that. So all these geographical locations have an energy, a consciousness that you play out in many different ways physically, because that is the original breath of life, and the breath of life is nothing but an energy form, an energy signature that we all play out. So remember that also. So it's things like if you, for example, if your parents were aged, you agreed with those thoughts and feelings, you agreed with those desires and ideas, you agreed with the way they traveled inside of their body. That's why you came and animated inside of their body as a cell, as a feeling that they caught when they was fucking and things like that, or you was just in there for a minute, and then when you had that opportunity, based on how much life and energy they gave you, you came and you experienced that, and you was giving them energy as well because they agreed with that form, so you can come out and experience and things like that. Because your whole body is also an organization of spirits as well. So this is why when I say things like your your heart chakra, your sacral chakra, your root chakra, and all that. All these are just forms that you go into, and things like that. Those are ideas that you agree with. These are feelings that you agree with, and you animate based on that. That's why some people in certain continents are more into sex and things like that. They're more sexually active and things like that because they agree with that root desire. But sometimes you can get lost in those energies. You can get lost in the energy of the root chakra. You being way too sexual and things like that, and you being lost in that fire, lost in that desire, so you not being able to direct that fire, that primal fire, into other areas of life. This is you using your sexual force and things like that. Some people like to communicate with their throat chakra. That's the agents. That's the land of Shem. Things like that. They like to communicate, talk, and things like that. Some people are more into the third eye chakra. Some people like to understand the mysticism behind something, the behind the scenes behind something. And that's locations like India, that one place. What was it called? Those are places like India, Asia, places like Japan, and things like that. And sometimes these energies can be mixed. But when you're wise enough, you start to see these. You start to see the people literally play out an organ in front of you, a mentality from a form inside of you that you can also see outside of you, as a in the form of a weather, in the form of a season, in many different forms and things like that. So those are names the author created to describe the ruling mentality in a continent, in a geographical location, regardless of descendant thoughts and feelings. Because when you travel through a land, you gotta be like, oh, this is that, this is this, so you can remember what that is, because you're marking the travel something. So this author just said, okay, this people here is Shem, so they think like this. So this is you categorizing. Because psychology, they just categorize different human behavior, and same thing with time. If you don't mark the passage of time, then you're not gonna know next time when it comes, and you're not gonna know when that thing appears again. So when you see that entity, that energy, that breath of life play out in a different place, and things like that, you can be like, oh, yeah, this is that. That's Shem. That's Ham. That's Jabeth. Because it's a mentality, it's a spirit that animates in people, places, and things. Real shit. Now, the earth was marred before God. So when the earth was marred, this is like you can say basically marred is like you reshaping the many forms inside of you, bringing destruction to those thoughts and feelings that you don't like. So many bodies of existence, soul chambers, souls that spirits animate into and give life into positive and negative forces to see that form get bigger, whether it's positive or negative. Many bodies of existence being reshaped and formed. This is why God was destroying the earth. Because sometimes you gotta destroy your thoughts and feelings. Sometimes you gotta destroy the entities that's occupying your throat area, so that you can start to speak those things that you're scared to speak. So you can start to present those opinions that you're scared to present. Because currently you might be being occupied by a non-benevolent spirit that doesn't want you to speak, because that's what it was doing, and that's what it's giving life to. But you can kick that spirit out of you by paying attention and directing your energy and creating a new form to go into, and things of that nature. And the earth was full of wrongdoings. So your earth, sometimes your practical nature, your fourth element can be full of malevolent, sinful, behaving thoughts and feelings that from a mathematical perspective are 180 degrees. Because when you create a vision, you're like, okay, I like that thing that I want to do, but then you create another feeling and a thought, okay, no, I can't do that because this and this and that. This is you going against yourself. So this is you going one direction, but then you all of a sudden saying, no, I'm going to go an opposite direction. So this is you creating a Satan, something for you to kill that vision. So this is you practicing a negative form of witchcraft on yourself and things like that. So as you creating 180 degrees, because Satan's is thoughts and Lilith's feelings, and Lilith in the Bible was known as the mother of demons. So you can create a demonic feeling that gives birth to generations of other demonic feelings, to generations of other Satans, negative entities, negative ways of doing things. And you don't want to go so far into doing that, because then it's going to be very hard for you to save yourself, and you're going to have to put that same amount of energy work for you to, exit the stage. And if you was just doing it in a positive way, you would have given life to a form that spirits go into and become bigger for benevolent, positive heaven experiences. Because if the kingdom of heaven is within, and you're not taking care of the forms that you've created within, then you're just gonna need someone else's system, aka someone else's therapy, someone else's psychology, and they will continue to make money off of that because they will make you miss the point on purpose that you don't get fully healed. Just enough that you can continue going to your job. Just enough that so you're not smart enough but stupid. You know what I'm saying? They will just give you just enough so that you don't go against them type of energy. So inside of it, there can be a lot of not benevolent, sinful thoughts and things that you don't need to kill. You need to go destroy. The Lord God saw the earth and it was corrupted because all flesh was corrupting its way upon the earth. So this is why, as well, externally, the firmament that we're in, the being that we're in, can observe us and be like, damn, my thoughts and feelings are sinful. They don't help each other. They don't cooperate. They just killing each other. They sinful. They a bunch of Satans. They a bunch of Liliths. Oh, those are demons. I gotta go kill them. I gotta go do a deluge. I gotta do a flood. So you send in a different stream of consciousness to um get rid of those things. You know what I mean? Because negative things do not like positive things naturally. But when those things come together, you create new forms of energy. So a positive meets a negative, it gives birth to a new energy. So you can hit your negativity with positivity. And if you keep doing that, that form is going to join with that other form you created. And it's going to come together and then create a new form, a new existence. This is what we're talking about here. Okay, and God said to Noah, the time of all humanity has come before me, because the earth was full of wrongdoings from them. And look, I am destroying them. And the earth, so then make for yourself an ark from trees. You will make the arks. Now this is this observer telling this thought and feeling to make a boat so it can survive the destruction, the stream of consciousness I'm getting ready to create, and things of that nature. So when we look at the zodiac, you gotta understand people actually play out those mentalities because those are nothing but seasons, energy signatures. Sometimes in the seasons, it gets really hot. Some people play out the mentality of being a hot-headed person. This is why we come up with those descriptions to describe the mentality that someone is in. So the people in Africa usually play out the mentality of the summer season and things like that. The people in America can play out the mentality of like the fall sometimes and things like that. But from each person, it depends. But since we get animated in a group of other group of people around us, that become like a religion and denomination, and that totality play out an energy, and they let themselves and they suppress their thoughts and feelings to be ruled over by that energy signature. So sometimes the energy signature that people get ruled over under can be like logic, so it could be an air like, so Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, you know, using logic to rule over people and things like that. What makes sense, what doesn't make sense, and things like that. Sometimes that thing can be a heavy emotion, like the signs of Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. You know what I mean? Or sometimes that can be a practical nature. Oh no, guys, we gotta come together and build tents and houses so we can, live a good life. So Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. So these are all, and you don't even have to call them by those names. Those are just the passage of time, the marking, like Shem, Ham, and Japheth, to look at that form and point at it at the many different places, locations, people, and things that it appears into. Because from Aries to Libra, that's above the horizon. That's like Noah. That's masculine energy. From Libra to Pisces, that's negative energy. Negative is not a bad thing. That's feminine energy. That's water light. That's the house. That's the Beth. That's below the horizon. That's the moon. And things like that. So that's why people mark those things, but they mark it in their way. So when you don't understand the witchcraft that someone else played on you, this is why everyone reads the Bible and they think it's it's an exoteric book. It's talking about something externally. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. If you think the Bible is an external book, you have fell so low and you have lost very much inside of yourself. You probably carried so many demons inside of you that you don't know anything other than how to be a demon to people around you. So the Bible again is not an exoteric book. It's an esoteric book. But if you understand that esoteric is the kingdom of heaven is within, and whoever understands it can have and see everything outside of him. So when you understand the self, when you have knowledge of self, you begin to understand all things outside of you. Because I told you, Africa is nothing but an organ and a land and a blood flow inside of you. America is nothing but an organ, a land, and a body inside of you. And a body can be like a plasma inside of you in your blood and things like that. But it gets really deep and you have to be an adept occultist to understand those things. You don't even have to. You just have to be like spiritual, basically. You don't need to be an occultist or nothing. You just got to be spiritual to understand those things. So here we see that God has instructed, the observer has instructed Noah, which is a logical thought, which is a sun thought, a masculine energy, to build an ark for it to save itself, because it's telling it, look, you can look inside of yourself and you can be like, okay, I like that thought, so I want this thought to enter into a boat, and a boat is a structure that's going to sustain itself above the flood of the water. So anything above the water that cannot withstand the new consciousness I'm getting ready to bring into the earth is going to drown and get lost and die in that, because it wasn't even wise enough in the first place, and it wasn't even smart enough or elevated enough, aka a titan that traveled through enough many forms. It doesn't have to be a titan, but a titan is a form that you get to later when you become big mentally, when you become strong mentally, and things like that. So a square, so he said, Noah, make a boat of squared components, which is a left brain, a logical shape. When you understand that the Bible again is not pointing to no actual physical boat, you will never find no Noah's Ark. Somebody might make an argument that they have found a physical ark, but no, 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 no. We make artifacts and things like that to remind ourselves of what we have to do mentally to withstand what's going on externally. Because if you understand what's going on in astronomy and astrology, you understand that when the sun and the moon and the other bodies, the other planets travel through the zodiac signs, no matter closeness and distance, that creates alignments, and those alignments create energy signatures for us to experience. And you can calculate outcomes and when and where and how you should do things to manifest the most possible, the most powerful outcome, and things like that. So when he said make it of squared components, he said, look, make this boat. Make sense out of this boat. Use your left brain, a logical shape, and smear it inside and outside with a pitch. Construction of a mental boat. This is nothing but you making sure that this creation, this boat, sustain your travel. This mentality, this practicality that you're creating is going to sustain you through the flood that I'm getting ready to create. The stream of consciousness that you put into yourself. Because the stream of consciousness you create with what you pay attention to should sustain those thoughts and feelings, should sustain the positive force, the sun inside of yourself to continue to travel. But the thoughts and feelings that were disagreeable, that didn't agree with that, they're going to die because they are not part of that energy signature that you're getting ready to bring into yourself. Now, this happens externally as well. When you don't follow the seasons, when you don't give birth to new cycles in summer based on your location in space and time, you have to give birth to things in certain times based on your relative position. Not necessarily in the summer season. You might have to give birth to things during the winter season because that's your mentality that you created. But you got to find your relative position, and you can find that based on your moon sign and what's opposite to it. But that's another talk for another time. So, a mental boat, which is just the strength of mind to stabilize even during a fallout. In this way, you will make the arc a mental ship, 300 cubits length of the arc and 50 cubits width and 30 cubits its height. So remember, a mason would be able to read that right there and understand what that means. When you use numerology, they're not talking about no measurements. This was no giant boat. This was a mental boat. So when you add 3 plus 0, and believe me, I am very wise and intelligent enough to tell what this book is talking about. You got to use numerology to understand this book. 3 is a number of solutions, and logic and communication by understanding your 3D surrounding and things like that. So let's not mess around and think the author put this here for no reason. No, this has a meaning behind it. This is a reason behind it. Things like that. Because you gotta use math, you gotta use logic, you gotta be like, okay, I know this is the form of practicality that I gotta use. This is the left brain higher nature that I need to keep sustaining so I can keep myself traveling in this reality without me falling short and my boat getting destroyed and me falling, falling below the earth, me getting consumed by the feelings, the consciousness that's getting ready to come to the earth via you creating it or via the sky, the stars in the sky creating it. And if you're not ready for it, then you might get killed. You might experience a hellistic situation to remind you that you need to go into a new form because that demonic form you're trying to sustain is no longer working and is outdated because we are in a new time right now. This is why Christians is waiting for Jesus to come back. Because no, Jesus is already here. Jesus is the Son. The Son is telling you this. We're in a new time right now. So get ready to create a new mentality, sustain your travel throughout this reality. And that's it. Okay. So while gathering that together, you will make the ark, you will complete it to a cubit from above, and you will make the door of the ark out of the sides, a path for masculine forms and feminine forms to enter into a mental boat for safety from the flood of consciousness based on the time. Like I said earlier, when you understand the timing and the seasons, you understand to do things based on current times, and then that way you get more success because now you are doing things based on divine law. You're doing this based on cosmic law. Now you're not doing that. Now you're not sinning against your divine law because what's right for you might be wrong for somebody else. What's wrong for you might be right for somebody else. This is why everything is based on your relative position in things, and this is why you're meant to be a unique individual in this time and space. Period. You're not supposed to be like anybody else. God didn't make you to be like any. You didn't make yourself to be like anybody else. You made yourself to be you. You made yourself to be you. So be you. Real shit. Okay. With a ground floor of 2 stories, and with 3 stories you will make it. Look, I am bringing the deluge, a cosmic flood of consciousness, which is what I said earlier based on the timing for the planets around in the belt of the zodiac. Water, I'm going to flood the world with water, with feelings. This is you catching vibes and feelings from the people or from the ether upon the earth to destroy all flesh, mental forms, in which the breath of life under the heavens that dwells within internally is in it. And whatever is upon the earth, God body, the temple of God, will come to an end. So if you don't create a mentality and new forms throughout every year to sustain your mind through and to create new thoughts and feelings that are positive for yourself, then you will fall short. You will experience an internal hell because your internal man and woman, masculine and feminine, sun and moon is going through a hell inside of you. So now you're going to experience that and manifest that externally. And this is what this observer is doing. It's telling its internal thoughts and feelings. It's picking out, okay, I want this thought to survive. Okay, so this thought needs to make a boat and it needs to, survive what's about to happen. Because I'm getting ready to destroy all the other feelings inside of me, all the thoughts inside of me, so I can bring about a new existence, a new reality, a new form. So I can create the new birds of things, the new creeping things, the new Adam and Eve, and things like that. The new left brain and new right brain. This is you getting ready to create a new mind for yourself. And when you look on the right side, this is why the story is not. When you understand it, it's an allegory. This is why you can find the story in many different places of the world, because the boat is nothing but an allegory for a mentality that carries you throughout the feelings of the world. Because remember, the people around you is going to be lost in their feelings. And you're going to have to ask yourself, is you going to stay in your boat and take care of your thoughts and feelings? Or is you going to jump off your boat and drown with other people's thoughts and feelings? Because when other people don't build a boat to sustain their mind, they will fall short and they will see you being successful and they will see you having the family, they will see you having the money, they will see you having the divine consciousness, the God mentality, the Titan mentality, and they will be jealous of that and they will want to destroy it. So this is why you probably can't see the image on the left side, but in Egyptian mythology, the boat of Ra is nothing but the solar plexus, your identity of yourself, which is what the Christians have crucified and tried to kill, and Tahuti is nothing but the mentality, and nothing but the throat chakra, your way of communicating. Isis is nothing but the heart chakra, is your new way of feeling. Sekhmet, or I forgot that god's name. It's the dog. It's the god with the dog head. But regardless of their physical form, it's an allegory about an energy signature and an organ that you have. So that's like the passion, the desire, and that's you being able to fight off other people's passion and desires, other people's snakes, because you will be tested by the snakes. The snakes is other people, little beastly natures, people beastly desires. People will be like, no, you gotta be into this. Why aren't you sad? Just like us. Don't you see that the people of the world are sad? We are sad. We are worried. We are doubtful. We are unfaithful. You should be like us. You stink. This is the people of this world. But if you build a boat, you can't let the other people of this world destroy your boat. This boat is meant for you and your organs and the members of your organization, aka the members, which is the spirits that agreed to come and animate those energies, these new creations that you want to do. You want to sustain those spirits, those membranes, because that's what's getting ready to take you into a new, better, bigger shape and form. So when you die from the objective, conscious reality and go back into the yin realm, speculative, you've already built that mental sequence that's getting ready to create a new body based on that new desire, that new feeling, that new passion that you created, and it's going to give that birth. So you can give birth into a better situation for you. So this is you having a positive death, and this is you having a positive birth. This is you being a real god, a real goddess, and not falling short. And when you look at the picture in the middle, that's a Masonic practice. They also call squaring the circle. So this is you. The circle means the feminine. It means the feelings. So that's why I did the presentation previously on Adam and Eve, because you can't let Eve, the feeling, tell Adam, the logic, the left brain, what to do. So you gotta square the circle. Sometimes you gotta remind the feelings, okay, Eve, I understand you have these, I understand you feel this way about the world. I understand that you feel this person might be getting ready to destroy what you say, but let's be more logical and let's not be unrational, so that we can do things in a much more organized, much more mathematical, sequenced way. Because the seasons don't come out of nowhere. There's a sequence to it. Like if we're experiencing summer, we're not getting ready to experience summer after winter. No, there's like 3 seasons before that. So you gotta understand there's math involved. This is why we create math and science, because we're mimicking the natures and the sequences of this earth, and we're trying to use that to understand ourselves. But instead of understanding ourselves, sometimes we use that to enslave other spirits around us, and we don't want to do that because then we got blood on our hands. Instead, we want to help other spirits get to this level so that we can all get outside of this nature together and things like that. And spirits is leaving this body of water named Earth, fourth element, and you don't want to be the last spirit to leave that, because you will just be the dumbest spirit in the next dimension. So you want to be a smart spirit. You want to be a smart observer. You want to be a smart traveler, a smart spirit that travels through many different soul chambers to create other forms, but not be going deeper into hell, sinking into the fire, and you realizing that later. You want to create a form that uplifts you out of these things, that takes you on a whirlwind like Enoch. You have to create that, though. You can't wait for somebody else to create that for you. Otherwise, you're falling short. You're going to church, you're going to the mosque, and you're waiting for Jesus to be saved. And ain't nobody waiting to be saved on this channel. On this channel, we're saving ourselves, period. So, now this is the observer telling Noah, I will establish my testament with you. You will enter into the ark, mental boat, you and your sons, positive masculine forces, alphas, with your wives, negative beta forces, to receive the masculine, to have more generations, the offsprings, because when two forms come together, they create offspring. So this is the generation that this observer agreed that said, you know what? This generation is righteous, this generation is good, this generation is that. This is the generation that wants to survive. Now, this is not God actually looking and saying, oh, the Jews are the chosen people, or the Muslims are the chosen people, or the Christians are the chosen people. No, when you are a wise spirit, you will naturally know what to do to survive the circumstances and the situations, and you will survive all the fiery darts and the hot rocks thrown to you by the devil. So this is also why Jesus actually Missed the point. And Jesus is not even who or what the Catholic Church has told you. I'll have to cover that on a separate topic, on a separate video as well. So, and of all the livestock, and of all the creeping things, and of all the wild animals, and of all the flesh, 2 by 2 of all you will bring into the ark, in order that you might feed them with yourself, male and female. They will be mental forms to sustain the survival of the chosen mentalities. Throw out the cosmic flood of consciousness, because like I said, flood of consciousness flooded externally based on the timing of the season, based on where the sun is traveling in the zodiac belt, based on where the moon is traveling in the lunar mansions, and based on where the other planets are traveling, which affect our mentality here and cause us to experience new mentalities. And based on what, if you planted good seeds or bad seeds, you might experience a hell to remind you to get out of that, or you might experience a positivity to be like, yeah, I like this, I like what I created. Let me keep going. Now, also, when you have a boat, when you created a boat, when you have a left brain, you have a logic, and you want to sustain those thoughts and feelings, your left and your right brain, which you created, you got to remember, because we are in a world of demons, we are in a world where spirits are not benevolent, and spirits want to take from you because they don't have the only thing they know. Because look, if a spirit is being a demon, the only thing it knows how to be and do is a demon. So you can't expect it to do something that it doesn't know. This is why sometimes you might have to teach people. Sometimes you have to tell people or remind people, look, you're lost in this form, but if they choose to get lost in that form, you got to let them be. Because what you're getting ready to do is take your thoughts and feelings, leave the boat that you created to sustain yourself, and you're getting ready to talk to a demon that's in the flood, and the only thing they're getting ready to do is make sure that you in the flood with them, because the last thing a person want to see is you succeeding, you actually going about that thing that you set your mind to. That's the last thing a person actually want to see. People want to see you be on the same level as them. No one wants you to be on a level above them, not mentally, speculatively, getting realm, you're wiser than them, or operatively, which you go about just seeing as smart and intelligent. So you gotta create mentalities, creeping things, sustenance for you to sustain your thoughts and feelings. But you just continuously paying attention to that stream of consciousness that you created. You gotta pay attention to that. You can't betray your thoughts and feelings for other people's thoughts and feelings. Because when you travel on your Noah's Ark, when you travel on the boat, in the cosmic flood of consciousness as God floods the earth with new energies based on the travel of the suns and the planets and things like that, you gotta remember that people are gonna see that and not like that. So people is gonna try to destroy your boat. People is gonna hate you for being you. People are not gonna be happy when they see you being you. People are not gonna see you when you have created that new mind, when you have given birth to that new thought, when you have given birth to that new feeling that come together to create a beautiful generation of existences, of possibilities within the parameter of things. People are not gonna like that. So people are gonna want to destroy your boat, take what you got. But you're going to have to learn that you cannot sustain yourself in the things of the world. If someone is trapped in a desire, in a passion that they don't know how to get out of, and they're falling short because they're not experiencing other parts of their body, the temple of God, they're not correlating themselves rightly and justly, they're gonna want you to get lost in that passion and that desire with them. And at the beginning, sure, it might look friendly, it might be like, but at the end of the day, you best believe that person want to get you lost in the same thing they are lost in. Because since they follow a legion and they are a legion of demons, they want you to be a lead part of a legion just like them, and they want you to be a demon just like them. They want to awaken that force that they see in themselves in you as well. And you gotta remember not to fall for it. You gotta remember not to fall short for the people that are getting washed by the flood, washed by the current. For an easy example would be like a crackhead. A crackhead is like lost in their passions, they lost in their root chakra, their desires, so they lost in their right brain, and they're also using their left brain to make sense out of that desire. So they made their Adam, their left brain, get lost in their Eve. So now Eve Lilith became a mother of demons. Now she's telling Adam, look, Adam, we gotta do this, sustain this desire. Look, Adam, we gotta get the crack, because if we don't get the crack, I'm not gonna feel good, Adam. Then Adam's trying to find all these logical conclusions, justify to himself to go about and doing that externally. And if you are with someone who's like that, or is lost in any of these chakras, they're gonna get you lost in that. You can be hanging out with a bullshitter, someone who's lost in their throat chakra, and all they do is bow, 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 and talk. Because words are witchcraft. That's when you read the Bible, you get lost in witchcraft. But since you don't know what the Bible is pointing to with that witchcraft, you get lost in someone else's mentality. They try to make you maintain their idea, their feelings. So they basically want you to come into their life, and since they're already in hell, they're already a demon. They want you to be the demon in their hell, while they look at you as the god in that hell. And they're gonna tell you, no, you're not doing my mentality right. Do this right. Do that right. No, no, you're not doing this. You got to leave these people alone, because God will take these people off the earth mentally first, and then physically. You know, real shit, real shit. You might look at it and be like, oh no, God doesn't want to kill people. No, 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 no. If you're not changing, God doesn't fuck with you. You see the plants dying. You see the plants coming back to life again. You see animals dying. You see animals come back to life again. What you think is about to happen with you? You're about to expire from this form and go into a new form. And if you get lost in someone else's form, God is just going to look at you like you're an idiot, because God doesn't do logic, information, linguistics. He just understands what you're into. Feelings. He just sees what you're like, what your spirit is constantly circulating in. He doesn't know why you're doing it. The logic, the Lucifer information you're lost into, then you see, okay, this spirit like that, okay, in the next lifetime, we're going to give them more of that. So if you're lost into other people's thoughts and feelings, in the next lifetime, you're going to create a form that just gets you more lost to other people's thoughts and feelings until you learn why that's a sin, and you need to be more invested into yourself and things like that. So, and when you travel on your boat, remember, you're also going to see other people that are traveling on their boat that are sustaining themselves successfully throughout the flood, with the flood of consciousness, the floods of energy. So these are people you can hang out with. You're going to see other people that are sustaining themselves. You're going to see other wise people that are above the flood, above the consciousness, that are enlightened, that are wise enough to sustain whatever they're trying to do. So these people become your friends, become people you want to hang out with. That becomes they might become your wife, your partner, and things like that. And you know, so don't worry about other people. Worry about yourself, because your thoughts and feelings, you gotta take care of that. That's your organization. That's your man and woman. That's what's gonna help you go forward. That's what's gonna sustain you, not someone else's thoughts and feelings, not another demon. You don't want to sustain yourself with a demon's thoughts and feelings. You better believe, because they will make you fall short. Always. It never fails. Because they're falling short. So how come they can't lead you nowhere? They're falling short. Period. The only thing they can do is make you fall short. And since they're viewing life from their relative position, from their demonic form they created, that to them is viewed as good. Yeah, this person should be involved. What I'm involved in. Yeah, they're a demon too. But since they're a demon, they're gonna make you a demon and get you lost in that form. So you better believe it. Don't get lost in these people's minds. Okay, so consciousness, you shouldn't consume like people who get lost in the mind. So the legions of the world, so the Christians, the Muslims, they're all lost, they're all falling short. It's all books of witchcraft, Quran, Bible. When you understand it, like how I've explained it, you'll be able to use these things for yourself, and you'll be able to see these things in the world as well. So of all the winged birds, according to their kind, of all the livestock, according to their kind, of all with you, male and female, you will take for yourself all the food that you will consume. You become what you eat, physically and mentally, so you better sustain yourself accordingly, and not by the people of this world. And you will gather it together to yourself, and it will be for you and for them to eat. And Noah did everything that the Lord God commanded, and thus he did. So this is you being able to successfully, channel that travel. You being successfully able to go through that experience, because that's a whole experience that you created. So now that you know that the world is full of demons, the next form you're getting to create is going to be a bad motherfucker. Jesus came and walked amongst the poor, but remember, it's an allegory about energy. You can come walk amongst the selfish, walk amongst the prideful, walk amongst the hateful. But since you're spiritually smart, you'll be able to outdo and outwit and outsmart all those people and things, because you are all possibilities. You see all forms. You see the 360. You see the degrees of all things. And these people only see a limited possibility of all things. And that's how you know you're truly with God, because you see all possibilities in the situation. You don't see one outcome. You see 4, 5, 6, 20 outcomes. You don't say, oh, you're going to go to court and today you're going to be found guilty of something. No, you see an outcome, you see a way, and you having to being able to see that way, that says that you have developed a consciousness. Now the demons, they only see one way. They gotta be conniving, they gotta backstab, they gotta rule over you, they gotta take something. That's them only seeing one possibility. But you gotta remember, people ask this question all the time: why does God allow evil in the world? The answer is because God is all possibility. So yes, the membrane we're in is gonna allow that, and the feelings and thoughts that you allow inside of you may be evil, but since you're an example of all possibilities, that's going to be allowed inside of you. So you allow evil inside of you and outside of you, because since you're all possibilities, that's possible. But you don't have to be evil all the time. You can be good sometimes, and sometimes you have to be good all the time. If you are good to demons, what should the demons about? This is why we have the archetype of the fool, the archetype of the person who falls short. This is what the fool is, basically: someone who is good to all people and is not aware of the evil that other people are about to do to them. So, yeah, this presentation has been concluded. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will infinitely see you in the next presentation. And until then, stay strong, brothers and sisters. Stay strong.